Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. You get fairy dust, I get fairy dust. Little Emily gets fairy dust, and little deer gets fairy dust. Hello, Fawn. Um, I have a question for Ask Advanced Bitch. That's me. Okay. The question is about the ladder of trust and a friendship. Okay. So if you want to know more about the ladder of trust, I have my book. It's on Amazon, The Irreverent Trust Guide. I also have videos on YouTube. Um, Different hair, different face, probably, about the ladder of trust. And so it'll take you right through it, all the lessons from the ladder of trust. And then the book is just all of that fleshed out even more. Okay. Um, I have a question about the ladder of trust. If you'd be able to offer more advice or guidance on how to navigate adjusting levels of intimacy once you realize you're on different steps of the ladder with somebody, you know you'll be safer if you step back and implement some boundaries. I'm having difficulty right now with a friend. The ladder has been such a fantastic tool to pull me out of self-gaslighting and second guessing, not trusting myself. It wasn't that bad. Maybe I'm seeing things that aren't there. But they're a good person, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And those are like ding, 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 such good self-gaslighting things. Like we're so induct our brain just like does that automatically to maintain the status quo because, you know, hashtag trauma. Um, but I'm having trouble with the guilt of stepping back from the friendship, and also because the other person still wants to remain on the same level of friendship, but I don't feel safe doing so anymore. I do not feel I can discuss the reasons why with them. I'd appreciate if there's any guidance. Okay. So the ladder of trust. So it seems like you would like to have more intimacy with this person, but they don't do it, or you are here with them that on the same rung of the ladder, but then every now and then they do something shitty, or they do something like icky that you would have to think, okay, well, maybe I'm reading into this, or maybe I'm overthinking, or maybe I'm, maybe it's not that bad, it's not that big of a deal. And so um what we have to do is, let me say it a different way. For me not to be crazy, I have to get on the same rung as them and understand that this is where they are. It's probably very consistent, that whatever is the issue now is something that's been there from the beginning, but you were able to tolerate it easier. I mean, that's just like a classic thing that we all run into, is that, you know, as we heal, I mean, one of the consequences of healing is that we're less interested in tolerating bullshit. Like we're less interested in tolerating ickiness. Like we're not gonna do it. It's not, it doesn't, and to me, it feels worse. It feels worse than it used to. I mean, I think that's for everybody. And it sounds like what might be happening. And another clue is that you said you wouldn't be able to discuss this with them. A lot of times I don't discuss it with people. There's not really much to discuss because sometimes it's like their personality or the way they phrase things or the way they disappear or the way the conversations are centered on them instead of you, and all of that. Whatever the dynamic going on. And so I I think of it as like if I can't get on their level, that it's like, okay, and this brings me to the price of admission, which is um, the price of admission to stay in this relationship. It sounds like it's not enough anymore. Whatever she was offering before isn't enough to counteract the icky or the weirdness or whatever is the thing that's upsetting to you. And so the first thing that I would do is like, and you're already doing it. So it's like, okay, let me get on the rung and really understand that it is not better than what I want it to be. And it's something that is just not capable. Okay. So when we get on the same rung as the other person, the only thing we're really stepping back from is this higher rung. And so instead of thinking of it as, let me step away from this person, is let me step away and come to the truth of what this relationship actually is and what the cost of it is for me and my soul. Like, let me get here and stay here for a while. You can stay in the relationship, but here. Now, they may, sometimes when this happens, like if we've been the one that's been fawning and like trying to make it better or keeping the relationship going even though it's not that great, like this person, once we get here and just like stop trying, they can start to like, hey, no, it's here. And then what happens is so it's like it's closer, it's better. They, like, for instance, if they don't usually call you, you're the only one calling them, and then you decide to like, okay, fuck, I've got to stop being, I don't, this is too high for me, the cost of this is too high, so let me get back on here and I'll just wait for her to call. Okay, well, they might be like, oh shit, like they're not doing that thing where they only call me, like what's going on? So they might start calling, and then that might fool us into like, oh, maybe it is good or whatever, but it's just something to watch. And so one of the things I do, if that were the issue, then if that person called, then it's like, oh, that's really nice. Let me call them once, and then that's it. And then wait for them to call again, and and just not as like not game playing or anything, but it's for me to reset where the relationship is. So it's about stepping back onto the rung. So you're not stepping away from the person, you're stepping back from the rung where you used to be, or what you wanted the relationship to be, or what you convinced yourself the relationship was, and get right here. And so even doing that, like the person could actually change, like we'll see, but usually not. And so you're on the same rung. And then what has happened in my experience is once I realize like, okay, this isn't working for me, it just kind of naturally falls away. And then I don't feel guilty because all I did was get on the same rung as the other person. And there's some relationships in which um it's just too toxic. Like it's just too toxic for me. Like I've spent a lot of time trying to get on the same rung, but every time I deal with them, it's just like I walk away feeling icky, and that cost is too high. And then what I realize, it's like, um, like I reached the point where my, my dedication to myself and my own self-worth is more important than any guilt I might feel from stepping away. Um, but I wait. I really think about this. I think, there was a person in my life, like for years, that I thought about like, oh, I wish I could get out of this relationship, but I would feel too guilty. And so, which is something that people who are manipulative, like they feast on our guilt, like a dementor, like they feast on it, because our guilt keeps us in the status quo. So that's just something else to think about. But I would think like I wouldn't be able to lay my head on the pillow at night if I left this relationship. And then the day came where I could and sleep like a baby, because it's like I know that I knew there was nothing else that I could give the relationship in order for it not hurt me. And so, okay. Um, the other thing about guilt is that, again, really thinking about it in terms of how it gets weaponized in CPTSD kids. And, you know, for and then also like guilt will happen, but I would probably stay in a relationship until I could make peace with, oh, one of the ways that has helped me is that I get to set the person free. Like I truly get to set them free. And um, that makes me happy because whatever, if I was not in a what I would consider a healthy relationship with them, I have to take part ownership for that. And so it's like, oh, I don't want to be a part of that anymore. Let me set them free. And so I'm not keeping them in a relationship because I want them to be in it, or I'm not keeping them in a relationship because of any kind of manipulation or simply time spent. A lot of people stay in relationships because they've, it's like the sunk cost fallacy. Well, I've had this relationship since childhood. I've had this relationship since college, or I've had this relationship since my kids were born or whatever. And it's like, if it's shitty, it's shitty. You don't have to be in it anymore. And it served you at the time. You attracted each other at your level of mental health, and you have changed your mental health, and they're at a different place. And that's okay. It happens. So, and it sounds like that is what happened in this relationship as well. So, again, it's like setting somebody free is a gift to other people. And then they can, if I was in a relationship that wasn't necessarily at a higher level of mental health, and it would continue to bring me down, and then I set them free, then they can either find somebody at a higher level of mental health, or they can stay at their level of mental health, and I don't have to, what I'm doing won't hurt them. And so anyway, those are just some of the things that I think about when I'm in a relationship. And again, like using tools, because I have CPTSD, like using tools are the thing that helps me kind of figure out. And it's like I have my tools that align with my values. And so I can, figure it all out from there. So I hope that was helpful. Love you. Bye.